Engaged best friend, 23 female. Said that I'm 22 male, confusing her and that she may like me. The title kind of covers the crux, but we've been friends for the past 7 years and are quite close. We were just hanging out watching a movie at my place with our whole friendship group, 10 people. And everyone left when it was done except her, which isn't unusual. I don't even know what we were doing or talking about before, but out of the blue she just starts rambling about how she thinks she may like me but also probably doesn't. She just kept repeating that she does feel deep feelings for me but isn't sure whether it's actually romantic or more a familiar, brother love, because she enjoys how she feels when she's with me, but she's absolutely in love with her fiancé and wants to marry him, but then again she can't if this is actually romantic because that would be unfair to him and herself. That I'm confusing her. This just kept repeating with long explanations as to why she believes it's not romantic and why she believes it is. It was kinda like she was thinking out loud to me and didn't even let me say a word before she ran off. Left me utterly confused and frankly speechless. I don't know how to process this or what I should do. Assuming I should do anything. This happened on Saturday. Today is Tuesday and she hasn't said anything since. Do I message her and try talk about this? What exactly do we talk about? Or wait for her to come back to me? Edit. To be clear, I have no interest to engage in an affair or relationship with her. Just unsure about how to handle this and figuring out my own feelings. Coming at it from another direction. Engagement is supposed to be the time when you've decided that you've found your one and only. It doesn't sound to me like she's 100% sure, and is looking at all the possible partners that she won't have when she goes through with her commitment to her fiancé. I see it more as an indication of her insecurity about her engagement than as an actual expression of serious interest. All this is likely as a manifestation of her doubts about who she is engaged to or her own fears of commitment. It's a pretty common trope. I think if she really is your best friend, you should tell her you should take some time off from each other while she figures out what she really wants with her fiancé. Especially if the romantic feelings are at all mutual. You need to encourage her to do the right thing, because if there is going to be a romantic future, you don't want her behavior hanging over your relationship and making you paranoid. You also don't want to be her excuse for calling the engagement off. Been there, done that. The same thing happened to me in 2020, and this advice comes from the bottom of my heart. Don't dig deeper. If this confuses you, the next thing it'll do is destroy your mental state and mental health. It takes a long, long time to recover. I made the mistake to see where it all would go and it was devastating. Don't do it to yourself, mate. Wow, I feel so badly for her fiancé. Don't do anything. Unless you want to be the other man to a woman admitting feelings for someone whilst engaged to a man she professes to love. It will only lead to heartache and confusion. Do the decent thing by her fiancé even though she is clearly unable to do so. So what are your feelings? Once you've answered what you want, then you can begin to earnestly confront her about what she wants. Before any of that, how do you feel about her? Don't do it, man. Put some distance from her, she is engaged. Keep it to yourself. Updated. Is my girlfriend using being raped as a cover story? I just wanted to thank everyone who DM'd me and left helpful advice on my last post. I would link it, but honestly, I have no idea how to do that. However, it's still on my account if you need a reference. The friend that told me the information in the first place apparently learned some more stuff through one of H's friends. I'm not too sure if it was the first time they hooked up or the second time. But before she went over to the dude's house, she told her friends that she was expecting to hook up with him. And after one of the times, she was telling her friends how good the sex was. Although I never saw any proof of this, it's already enough hearsay to end things. H going to his house expecting and leaving his house telling people the sex was good pretty much just counters her argument and invalidates her rape claim. As most people said in my last post, she was most likely lying to save the relationship. This pretty much just proves she did just that. I have yet to find the other dude she hooked up with to let him know about the false allegation. I don't know if the name H gave me was his real name or not. But as said earlier, I ended things with H. I'm pretty much just cutting her out of my life altogether. If she lies about being raped, who knows what else she is capable of lying about. Thanks for the help once again. Too long did not read. She lied, and I ended things. How disgusting to lie about rape. She could have ruined that guy's life, and people lying about that is part of the reason real rape victims aren't believed a lot of the time. What an awful person. What did she say when you broke up with her? So she is one of the women who get other women a bad name. She is one of the women who devalue other women's testimony when they are raped and thus make it so much harder to secure convictions. She is one of the women who get men's lives ruined to save their own asses. She is the lowest of the low, utter scum. I hope you will spread this story far and wide, tell everyone. Wow. This sucks so much. I can only hope she realizes what kinda of a huge deal this lie could have turned into and apologizes to you and also the other guy. Neither you nor him deserve this. What an absolute Chad move of you to try to find the other guy just to give him a heads up what might come at him if word spreads around. We need more people like you. Hope you are doing somewhat okay in moving on. What did she say when you confronted her with the new info you had? I hope you find the guy and can tell him so at least he knows the disgusting trash he is dealing with. Either way, good riddance. Is it weird that I'm relieved about her lying lol? You are doing fantastic op. We are proud of you. Original post. Glad you cut that toxicity out. I'm sure you're shaken up about it, but know you've done nothing wrong and from what I've read in the initial post, you seem like a solid person. Okay, don't let this fuck your head up with future relationships, she was just a speed bump. COVID has destroyed my concept of my own family. My parents are the best people I know. Incredibly selfless, community-oriented, compassionate individuals, who have raised my siblings and I as such. We have always all had an amazingly close connection, are highly communicative and involved in one another's lives. My dad is one of my best friends and my mom is an angel on this earth. My sister is a multi-dimensional, matriarch in the making who I have adored and looked up to my whole life. Now that I've turned 30, things have changed drastically. I'm looking at my family in a totally different light. I'm an RN and have worked the past few years in multiple provinces, territories as an nurse, remote nurse, community health nurse and COVID response nurse. I have had people die in my hands from COVID. I have helped to provide immunizations to small indigenous communities. I have done my best to provide care in many different settings. I love my job and am beyond proud to be a caregiver. I received my vaccination because I believe in protecting myself, my community and my hospitals, clinics, patients. I want to stay well so I can help others. I trust my colleagues. I trust myself too. My parents are vehemently opposed to the mandates, vaccine and have become increasingly more righteous with their freedoms. They are now attending freedom rallies, donating to the trucker standoff and telling me that Bill Gates has worked with fascist Fauci to create these vaccines as a form of population control. I am an ignorant sheep to them and they love me, and feel like I just don't have it in me to fight alongside them for our freedom. I would appreciate advice from people who have had to shift their perspectives of their parents or a sibling role model, following their devotion to anti-mask, anti-vaccine, anti-COVID everything stance. I'm devastated. It feels like a death in a way. Too long did not read. Parents and role model sibling, otherwise brilliant human beings, are down the COVID conspiracy rabbit hole. I need advice about how to move forward in a healthy way. It sounds like you've always had an unrealistic view of your family. You start your post making them sound above mere mortals. Now, you just can't ignore it anymore. They're not as great as you imagined they were. The truth is most likely that you were in love with the idea of them. Of course it feels like a death. You're grieving a fantasy family. People that never existed. I know it's not a lot, but you might find some support on QAnon casualties. Did something change to make them this way? This reminds me of this documentary I just watched called, The Brainwashing of My Dad. It's about a guy who grew up with a father who was kind, community-minded etc. who also taught their kids basically left-wing principles. Then he got a new commute that was much longer and started tuning into talk radio which is hugely dominated by right-wing nutjobs. This made the dad turn into this mean vile person. It's really good at exploring why this happens and also what happened to make the dad come back to his family. Something that has helped me a lot is reframing this belief system as a result of radicalization by right-wing media and SOC med and etc. People that are otherwise compassionate, sane people are being targeted by messages that make them confused and scared. Thank you for all that you have done and are going through to help people. I'm sorry this has happened to your family but know that so many of us do see reality and recognize your sacrifice and bravery. Heart. One thing that is always hard to accept and understand. Very intelligent people can sometimes do stupid things. Very kind-hearted people can sometimes be cold and arrogant. Good, moral people can sometimes be bad and be seduced by something evil. And when it's family and loved ones doing this, that can be hard to swallow. How you need to deal with it? By understanding that that is part of human nature. You are an RN. But you know you cannot help everybody with the right advice. Some simply do not listen. Thank you for all that you do. Best to you. I don't agree with my family either, but I decided that COVID wasn't worth losing my family over. We have extremely opposite viewpoints and we know that. We just don't talk about it much and it honestly hasn't been an issue. It works because we don't tell each other what to do. It's interesting that I read this because my sister and I had a conversation about my dad doing this. It's insane that the generation that said, "Don't trust the internet," now believes anything in the internet. What the hell is a multidimensional matriarch? GF has been sad since learning about the engagement of her ex. They dated for almost 10 years, from ages 16 till 26, but he didn't want to get married or engaged. They broke up in June 2020. She dated someone else for 2-3 months casually before we got together and we have been together for 6 months. Her ex got engaged on January 22. I know because she told me in surprise when one of her friends informed her. And she has been pretty sad since knowing about the engagement. I am just confused about it, to be honest. Does she still want him? Is she jealous? Is he the one who got away and I am just the rebound? It's okay to feel kind of hurt that she is impacted by the relationship status of her ex-boyfriend. But in her defense, she found out her ex was willing to commit to someone else, when for 10 years that's all she wanted. I'd be hurt too. Remember, this doesn't mean she wants him or wants anyone else but you. It's just a pride hit. She was just essentially told that her existence wasn't good enough for someone she sank 10 years into. Honestly, I'd pour her a drink, give her a hug, and let her cry one out, because that hurts the self-esteem a ton. That's quite natural. She gave him a decade and he gave her the "it's not you, it's me" BS, only to marry somewhat quickly. She's likely just in shock. But it also doesn't necessarily mean anything about how she feels about him or you. It's likely about how it makes her feel about herself. It's like she's just been told she wasn't good enough to inspire something another woman has inspired in a fifth of the time. Don't feel or act jealous. Just let her ride the feelings and support her while she does. He lead her on for 10 years. 10 years wasted. 10 years where she could have gained life experience, education, work promotions. It isn't about what she feels for him, she doesn't. Could put it in another way. You work a job for 10 years. You don't get a pay rise nor promotion even though you do everything right. Then a new person who's been there for 2 years not only gets a pay rise but a few months later gets a promotion as well. You'd be sad. Sad that you wasted 10 years. Sad that you feel that you were never good enough for a promotion. Should your new job be pissed that you feel sad about not being appreciated at your last job? Your girlfriend is understandably hurt by this news. A man to whom she gave a decade of her life is marrying some woman he's been with for less than 2 years after having told your girlfriend he was not interested in marriage. It would be a monumental ask to expect that this wouldn't hurt her. The sadness she might be feeling about it likely has absolutely nothing to do with you. Nor does it likely have any bearing on how she might feel about you. Do your best to be supportive and not make it about your relationship until she gives you reason to do so. She was with her ex for 10 years. During that time he never gave her the same kind of commitment which he has given his new fiancée that he has likely only known for a fraction of that time. It's nothing more than a slap in the face and a reminder of the time she lost to him. Don't take it personally. She's probably questioning her own value. It can be pretty harsh to find out somebody is willing to do for someone what they did not want to do with you. What I could be in this situation, just be insecure. Why not me for 10 years but her so soon? The logical thing is to ask this. It does not have to be that she has feelings, and I think a little bit of jealousy ain't that bad. Maybe she just wishes you'd propose. It could be so many harmless things. Men tend to do this thing where they'll string one woman along for years, and then quickly marry the next one. The woman he never married usually grieves like your girlfriend is now when they eventually get engaged to the next one. She probably feels inadequate by her ex. This is triggering her to relive the pain of her relationship ending. Give her time and maybe suggest she speak with someone. Gottman Institute has many great articles you can read about resurfacing emotions from year pasts, and how to navigate it.